Hey guys, welcome back to Rossoneri TV. I'm Gio and I'm here for a new live stream to bring you the latest AC Milan news and rumors currently going on at the club. Lots to talk about today, especially concerning Mario Pasalic and also AC Romagnoli. So without further ado, let's get started with today's live stream. At the same time, don't forget to leave your comments in the comment section below, as I'll be reading them throughout the live stream. So as usual, don't forget to send them in. I'll be reading them, and hopefully I'll be able to answer your questions to the fullest. So let's get started off today with Mario Pasalic. Now, throughout the day, it really was a fast negotiation with Chelsea concerning the young player because many people were thinking that this deal could actually impact or have some influence on Romagnoli leaving Milan or something. But at the end of the day, it was a completely separate deal to the one of Romagnoli. And Pasalic will be joining Milan on a loan. It will be for 1 million euros. So Milan will be paying that amount to Chelsea to loan out this player, and he's expected to have his medical tomorrow in Milan. So he's supposed to arrive tomorrow. All the papers, all the contracts and stuff are supposed to be finalized tomorrow. Mario Pasalic will be arriving to Milan on loan. Now, many people probably didn't hear much about him. I haven't watched him, to be honest. I've just watched a few videos on YouTube, but what we know from him is that he's 21 years old. He's a center midfielder, so definitely a player that Milan was trying to get all along. I mean, Milan was looking for the longest time for a player to play in that position. So, I mean, I'm not really sure if this is the most reliable option that we could have had. I know we didn't have much transfer funds, but at the same time, I think Galliani could have done a better job altogether this summer to find a proper center mid instead of basing this signing on a 21-year-old, which even though he seems to have experience for Croatia and club football, we still can't be 100% sure that he's going to have a good season at Milan. Then again, this deal has no option to buy. Therefore, what it means is that it's a dry loan. At the end of the season, Pasalic will be returning back to Chelsea. However, apparently Milan will have the priority to sign the player in case there's other matching offers with other clubs. So pretty much this is a test, I guess you could say, for Pasalic. It's not for sure that he's going to be remaining at Milan long term, even though he is 21 years old. So Milan's kind of giving him a test run, seeing how it goes. If he does well, maybe at the end of the season, Milan can match Chelsea's request and actually sign the player. But also, that all remains to be seen, of course. Now, moving on to Romagnoli, I know a lot of you guys were a bit scared throughout the day because you've been hearing about new offers coming in from Chelsea, Milan that could have potentially sold him. But at the end of the day, the news are that Fininvest and the Chinese do not want to sell Romagnoli at all costs, no matter what offer comes in. And like I said a few days ago, this is pretty understanding because, he's one of the building blocks for this Milan team, still a very young player, one of the future defenders of Italy, in my opinion. Romagnoli, of course, still has a lot to learn for himself, but in my opinion, I think that he is one of the future defenders of Italy. Therefore, it will be nonsense to just give him up after one season like that, even though Chelsea offered, at least that's what some sources are saying, about 42 million euros plus bonuses. I mean, ridiculous offer for him, but at the same time, I'm really happy that the Chinese did not give in, that they didn't sell him after all. Because, like I said, Romagnoli is one of those players that needs to be a building block. He needs to be one of those players that, we could keep for the long term. If we want to plan our defense to be an excellent defense like we once had, we need to start from players like these. And definitely will make no sense to let Romagnoli leave, especially with about 7 days remaining in the transfer window. Where are you going to find another defender that's worth it, that you're trying to keep for long term? So many things pretty much adding up, just not making sense about Milan potentially selling Romagnoli. So at the end of the day, They did not sell him despite all these offers coming in from Chelsea. Chelsea were pushing hard for him, but Milan gave them a simple no. They are not willing to sell him altogether. So I think, once again, very good news in my opinion. Romagnoli needs to remain. He needs to show that he's worthy of Milan, because up to now he hasn't really accomplished much like many other young players at Milan. But I think in the long term, this is definitely a player that will get the job done for Milan and could potentially become one of the pillars of this team. Now, moving on with some other news. I've been speaking about this actually for a few days regarding Jose Mauri. Galliani once again met with his agent. Now that Pašalić is coming, chances are once again that Jose Mauri will be leaving before the end of the transfer window, and he's most likely going to be leaving on loan. I don't think that Milan's going to be selling him to anyone, because he's still a talented player that could do very well, in my opinion. So I think it's a good option for him to move elsewhere, at least for the season, to get playing time and not just rot on the bench like other players will be doing. So I think this is very good for Jose Mauri. Now, there are several clubs interested in the player at the moment. So, at the very moment, it's not quite sure where he's going to be ending up from now on until the end of the month. But Empoli is one of these options. He could very well go there and join their club. Finally, I also wanted to speak about a few names that were mentioned by the Gazzetta dello Sport last night for Milan's midfield. But now that we're getting Pasalic, once again, I don't think that these options will be arriving anymore. But these names were Pedro Obiang, used to play in Sampdoria, and Aquilani. So I honestly, once I saw these names, I could maybe understand Obiang a bit, but Aquilani, what kind of nonsense rumor was this? I mean, this guy used to play with us a few years ago, but he definitely wouldn't be coming back to Milan at all costs. I mean, what kind of a logic is that to even consider him? So obviously these rumors from Gazzetta dello Sport, I don't think they were very reliable. Just you can maybe tell sometimes with how they announce certain players, and I think this was one of those rumors in which really makes no sense to me. As for Obiang, he could be an option, but once again, now that we got Pasalic, I really doubt that we will be going for another midfielder. I think this pretty much sums up our transfer market. I think that maybe we could still fit in a defender by the end of the transfer window, but don't expect any big name to come, in my opinion. With 7 days remaining, no serious contacts being made with big names, I honestly don't think anything great is going to happen from now on until the end, but we never know. Maybe Galliani could work his magic and still sign some players. So, guys, send in your questions regarding anything you want me to talk about. If you want me to talk about today's news, if you guys want me to talk about these last few days of the Mercato, what I'm expecting and so forth, let me know in the comment section below. I'll be answering your questions for the next 5 to 10 minutes. Many people are asking me, there are still some people asking me why I've been switching to this live stream type of content. Main reason is to have a live interaction with you guys, because I think that it's important to have a live interaction between me and you rather than me commenting after I don't know how long, just replying to your comments, and chances are you guys are not even going to see them. So I think it's better like this. Some people have also been telling me if I could do the live streams ahead of time, like a bit earlier than usual. Unfortunately, this is most likely the time that Mo is going to be doing it at due to other personal commitments. So maybe there will be some times in which I will be doing them earlier, but I'm trying to keep a standard time, and this for me is the best time at the moment. But don't worry about it, because if you do miss the live stream, there's always a recording of the video, so you can always watch it whenever you want at your own time on the channel. So don't worry about it. If you miss the live stream, you could watch it later on in the day if you can't watch it live. So send in your questions, guys. I'll be reading them. Who is Mario Pasalic? Once again, I don't know much about him, but I know that he spent last season on loan at Monaco. He actually scored 7 goals in 29 appearances for 21-year-old. I think these are pretty decent stats, considering the fact that he wasn't really playing full 90 minutes all the time, and that most, at least near the end of his season, from February onwards, he hasn't played. That is something that's worth noting because he's been having back trouble according to Transfer Market. He hasn't been playing for a long time. So we're going to have to see if he could come in and actually be worthy of a place in our team. Question from Vincent Nathaniel. Gio, can you do the live stream for Milan games? Now, this is a question I've always been wanting to address. I get this question 1,000 times a month, and I'm not even kidding you guys. I simply cannot do live streams of Milan games. What this means, I don't know if you guys are trying to tell me like to actually show the footage of the game or me talking throughout the game, but if it's for the footage, I cannot do live streams for Milan games. It's against YouTube's copyright, and that would mean risking closing this channel, and I really don't want that. So I cannot live stream games. Gio, why do you think Milan fell apart in this last few years and now we're getting consequences? Well, I think the answer is pretty simple. We haven't been spending much money except last year. And when we have been spending the money, it was allocated in the wrong places. Many times we've been getting names in which we were stuck with, even though we knew they were bad to begin with. We made stupid signings, such as paying 10 million for Matri, and then we were stuck with him. We had to loan him out because no one wanted to buy him outright. So, things like this, stupid decisions from Galliani and so forth. So, I think that there's plenty of reasons as to why we haven't been competitive in these past few years. And obviously the consequences are pretty obvious. Would I sell Baca next season? I mean, this season just started, so I'm not even thinking about next season yet. But honestly speaking, if we do make Europe, I don't see a reason as to why Baca would want to leave, and I don't see a reason as to why we should sell him. So in my opinion, as for the moment, I wouldn't sell him, no. Will Deschillo play next game? There's a good possibility that he will be playing. Not 100% sure, but according to Gazzetta dello Sport, they're saying that, just looking at the probable starting 11, that Deschillo might not start. But in my opinion, I think there's a good possibility that we could see him on Saturday against Napoli. Is Bade coming or not? And what about Quaresma, because we want a great right winger? Bade is once again a name that we're interested in, and his agent said many times we have until August 31st to try to convince Fiorentina. The main problem is that Fiorentina do not want to sell him at all costs. So that is the problem with Bade. The player was actually willing to come to Milan, but if Fiorentina don't give the okay, then there's no way that he could arrive. As for Quaresma, this was a player that I think it was reported by a Turkish source, but it was nothing too serious or reliable. So honestly speaking, I don't think anything is happening regarding him. Who do I think will be our best signing this transfer window? I'm assuming you're talking about the players that we already signed. Best signing, I'm pretty curious to see how Jose Sosa and Gustavo Gomez play. I think one of those two will be pretty impeccable for Milan. I think that they could have a decent season. I'm really curious to see how Jose Sosa is going to play. Milan is trying Isco. Your thoughts? Isco has been a name that's really been going on for a long time. But Madrid didn't want to sell him. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. By the way, Jose Sosa won't be playing against Napoli. At least that's what his agent said a few days ago. So I think we're going to have to wait until after the international break to see him. Ben Taleb is good. I believe Schalke signed him today, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check on you for that. I think they signed him, or they're very close to signing Ben Taleb. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Why didn't I report about Kevin Prince Boateng? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. I did mention him when he left to Las Palmas a few weeks ago, but yeah, I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Will Lapadula play next match? He's most probably going to be starting from the bench. He's not suspended anymore, but yeah, Lapadula is most likely either going to come in. I don't think he's going to start. Definitely, he's not going to start. Sean Pisani, no, I don't know that player. You've been asking me that question for a million times. I don't know that player. What site do I use for the latest transfers? Just any normal source that you will probably hear about, such as Gazzetta dello Sport, Sky, Milan News, all kinds of different sites. I just pretty much sum them up on a daily basis. I can't wait to see Lapadula play as well. I think he's a very interesting player, but now that Baca scored a hat-trick, I don't know really how much playing time he's going to be getting anytime soon. Sosa, Kuchka, Montolivo. I guess it's an okay midfield, even though I would keep Bonaventura in there. But yeah. Keep sending in your questions, guys. I'll be on for the next 5 minutes or so. Do I think Keisuke Honda holds a chance in Montela's Milan? No. I don't. I actually, once again, I'm still surprised, very surprised that he's still on the team. I think that he will be leaving in January. I don't think anything is going to happen from now on until August, at the end of August, because there haven't been really any concrete contacts between other clubs and Milan concerning Honda. But I do believe that he will be leaving in January. I don't see him staying another season at Milan whatsoever. Will Vanjoni even get any playing time? That is a pretty important question. I think Vanjoni, he needs playing time, but I'm not quite sure how much playing time he's going to get. I'm curious to see all these new players. Like I said, there's many new players that we got. There's Vanjoni, Jose Sosa, Gustavo Gomez, Lapadula, now Pasalic. I'm really curious to see how these guys could fit in Milan because we made new signings and I do want to see them. Where do you think we will finish the season? I've said it in my season preview, 5th place. Is Zapata going to leave? Most likely not in this transfer window. If I could choose any coach for AC Milan, who would it be? To be honest, at this very moment, I'm not quite sure. But I say Montella has a very good game plan for them, and I think that we need to work with Montella. Omar, Bertolacci, Sosa, Kuchka, and Bonaventura at cam with Baca and Yang up front. I'm assuming you're playing a 4-3-1-2 formation. That's not a bad formation whatsoever, and I think Montella could be using that sometimes. But right now, I think he's willing to stick to that 4-3-3. But that's not a bad formation whatsoever. Why do you think Milan don't play the youngsters we already have, Locatelli and Jose Mauri? It's not that they don't want to play them. If you take a look at our bench, it's pretty much lacking depth. And I honestly don't think Milan is willing to risk these youngsters in important Serie A games just as of yet. In other leagues, sometimes you see younger players making appearances, even in mid-table teams in the Serie A. But for some reason, Milan has always had this philosophy on not fielding these young players, at least in recent years. Thoughts on Umberto Gandini leaving for Roma? I think that by far he needs to leave. Umberto Gandini, is a guy that really addresses the fans on social media, but as of late, I remember even last year, many people started to hate him as well because he wasn't being serious. He was, once again, like the rest of the Milan management, letting the fans know that everything was going to be all right last season, but nothing happened. I'm going to answer a few more questions, guys, before I leave. Do I believe that we should loan out Locatelli and Mauri? I think I would keep Locatelli and loan out Jose Mauri. opinion on possible Thomas Rincon transfer to Milan. Yes, I've heard of that. It would be a decent signing, but now that we got Pasalic, I doubt it. I don't think we're going to get him. What's up with this live stream? It's configured different than in the past. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, Joe. I really don't. Maybe elaborate on that. I'm not quite sure what you see different, but yeah. One more question. Do you think we should play another formation? I do with the player we have. It should be a 4-2-3-1. Montella could play many different formations, but at the moment he wants to play with this 4-3-3. But you could definitely play the 4-3-2-1. Sorry, the 4-3-1-2, or even that 4-2-3-1. It seems decent. No problem, Omar. You know, sometimes I see so many questions, guys. It's just literally scrolling, so I just miss out on your names. So my apologies if I don't answer all of your questions. Yeah, we definitely need an extra central defender. I completely agree. Gustavo Gomez will most likely start against Napoli on Saturday. All right, guys, I think I'm going to sign off. Maybe I'm going to answer one more question. So if you have it, one more question, I will be answering it. So send it in right away if you wanted me to be answering it. When will we be able to spend big and get players like James Rodriguez? Well, let me just tell you that in the January transfer window, we're expected to spend 100 million euros. So expect some big names in that one in January. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to Rossoneri TV to stay updated with everything going on at AC Milan. It will really mean a lot if you guys could subscribe if you haven't already. We are very, very, very close to reaching 10,000 subscribers. So if you guys haven't yet done that, please do so. It would really mean a lot. Also, don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed this live stream. You guys can still send in your comments. I'll be reading them throughout the day. But that's going to wrap it up for me for today. Thank you for watching once again. This has been Gio signing off. And as always, Forza Milan.